Title: Critique of Survival Narratives: The Essential Flaws of Open Water. Open Water, directed by Chris Kentis and released in 2000, is a thriller/horror film that dramatizes the horrifying ordeal of a couple left behind on a scuba diving trip, fighting for survival against the elements and the constant threat of sharks. While the film garnered attention for its minimalist storytelling and gritty realism, there are several points of criticism that can be levied against it. This essay argues against the film's effectiveness as a compelling survival narrative by examining specific areas of weakness, including characterization, plot development, and thematic effectiveness, ultimately suggesting that Open Water falls short of providing a meaningful, engaging experience for its audience. One of the critical pillars of any successful narrative, especially in a film where the majority of the screen time is devoted to its two main characters, is strong, relatable characterization. Unfortunately, Open Water suffers from a lack of character depth, making it difficult for the audience to become truly invested in the fate of the protagonists, Susan and Daniel. Throughout the film, Susan and Daniel are presented with minimal backstory, which limits the audience's ability to connect with them on a personal level. This lack of fleshed-out backgrounds detracts from the emotional weight of their predicament. In comparison to survival films like Cast Away or 187 Hours, where the protagonists' histories play a crucial role in endearing them to the audience, Open Water fails to provide similar character depth. This couple's relationship troubles and personal intricacies are superficially touched upon, lacking the complexity required to sustain interest over the film's runtime. Furthermore, the dialogue between Susan and Daniel often feels trite and cliched, leading to interactions that fail to add significant dimensions to their characters. As a result, the audience is left with a superficial understanding of who these individuals are, diminishing the impact of their harrowing ordeal. This lack of character investment contributes to the film's failure in immersing the viewer in the survival experience. Beyond characterization, Open Water struggles with its plot development, which relies heavily on the escalating threat of external danger to maintain suspense. While the idea of being stranded in the ocean presents inherent tension, the film fails to capitalize on this through innovative storytelling or unexpected plot twists. The narrative structure of Open Water is linear and predictable, with little variation in pacing or progression. The filmmakers rely almost exclusively on the steady increase of danger, such as the approaching sharks and the onset of dehydration and exhaustion, to drive the story forward. However, this reliance on a singular source of suspense quickly becomes monotonous, leaving viewers craving more dynamic plot elements. The film could have benefited from exploring additional dimensions of the couple's psychological and emotional states, or incorporating unforeseen narrative turns to break the monotony. Additionally, the repetitive nature of the scenes inhibits the film's ability to maintain a high level of engagement. The characters' oscillating states of hope and despair become formulaic, weakening the emotional impact of their struggles. This lack of variety in the storytelling elements further distances the audience, preventing a truly immersive experience. Perhaps one of the most significant criticisms of Open Water is its insufficient exploration of thematic depth. Survival narratives have the potential to delve into profound human experiences, examining themes of resilience, the human condition, and the clash between humanity and nature. However, Open Water barely scratches the surface in this regard. While the film attempts to portray the primal fear of abandonment and the relentless cruelty of nature, it lacks the nuanced examination found in other survival-themed works. Films like Life of Pi or The Revenant are successful because they not only depict characters overcoming physical challenges, but also engage deeply with existential questions and personal transformations. By contrast, Open Water is content to remain superficial, missing opportunities to explore the broader implications of its central dilemma. For instance, the film does little to investigate the psychological transformation of its characters throughout their ordeal. Their interactions and reactions remain largely reactive and surface level, denying the audience insight into any deeper psychological exploration. The film's resolution similarly lacks thematic impact, concluding the story without addressing larger questions raised by their tragic circumstance. In terms of mechanical execution, Open Water has been praised for its authenticity and realism, primarily achieved through the use of natural settings and untrained sharks. However, these elements, while laudably ambitious, do not fully compensate for the film's narrative shortcomings. The shaky, handheld camera work, employed to heighten realism, often detracts from the viewing experience instead of enhancing it. This technique, intended to immerse the audience in the character's instability, sometimes undermines the storytelling, making scenes confusing rather than engaging. Additionally, the lack of a varied soundtrack reduces the film's emotional resonance and fails to support the development of tension across key scenes. In conclusion, while Open Water seeks to deliver a realistic and harrowing tale of survival, it ultimately falters due to its weak characterization, predictable plot, and superficial thematic treatment. Despite its innovative use of natural settings and raw elements, these technical achievements are insufficient to elevate it to the ranks of its contemporaries in the survival film genre. For future films to improve upon Open Water's premise and offer a more impactful narrative, it is essential to invest in deeper character development, more dynamic plot progression, and a richer exploration of thematic content. Addressing these areas will not only increase audience engagement, but also afford the narrative a lasting, resonant impact that extends beyond the immediacy of the character's physical predicament. By failing to achieve these goals, Open Water remains a cautionary example of how even the most compelling concepts require careful execution to succeed as unforgettable cinematic experiences.